Could the New York Giants look to trade down in round one of the 2025 NFL Draft? We're going to react to some rumors going around on Twitter, and some people are talking that it could potentially happen. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it. Robinson L. Whitmore, an account that I have seen emerge on Giants Twitter, who claims he is an NFL Draft insider, saying this: I'm told that momentum between the Patriots and Giants for a round one pick swap has picked up momentum. Perhaps the Pats want remainder of the Hunter or Carter sweepstakes. The Giants could look to take Shedeur Sanders at number 4, an interesting development. I'm not saying this is right. I'm also not saying this is wrong. This is a news and rumors channel. It is my job to react to the rumors out there. And I wanted to talk about this. I also saw this tweet from Big Blue Interactive, an awesome Giants Reddit page, which is awesome. They've been doing it for, I think, over 20 years now. Go show them some love. Big Blue Interactive. Awesome account and awesome stuff. Saying the beauty of draft simulators is that you can mock out potential moves in advance. Sad to say that soon AI will probably be de facto running the drafts. If you want Sanders, you talk to the Pats about trading down. You also talk to the Jaguars. Can result in serious draft picks. So let's talk about it. How risky does Joe Schoen want to get here? I'll never forget what Joe Schoen said in the 2023 NFL Draft when he talked about trading up for John Michael Schmitz, then trading up for Jalen Hyatt, who they were debating on picking in the second round. They walked away with both. The quote: scared money, don't make money. Well, how much money is Joe Schoen trying to make with this selection? We know Joe Schoen loves to set up the contingency plans in the NFL Draft. It's my 4th year covering Joe Schoen and the Giants, 5th year covering the NFL Draft for Chat Sports, and in those 4 years, I've heard Joe Schoen say the word contingency plan more than I ever had prior to working here. If they do this, then we want to do this. We want to have a situation set up where if it goes like this, then we do this. How many times have they talked about it? In the 2022 draft, when they had the 5th and 7th selection, they said, we just got to love 7 guys. When there was the 2023 draft, and they drafted Deonte Banks, he said, if this happened, then we were going to do this. If this happened, we were going to do this. And then last year, saying, well, if the draft fell like this, then we would do this. And they already, we've heard, had trades agreed to. If the draft fell like this, trades would have happened. So Joe Schoen is always thinking one step ahead. So maybe this has been talked about in 1925 Giants Drive of, if the New York Giants are in love with Shedeur Sanders, is there a world where they could trade down to 4 and then maybe even trade down again to 5 to add more draft picks and walk away with the quarterback of your dreams? Question then becomes, how and what can the Giants add in this situation? And the reason they would do it, Patriots aren't trading up for a quarterback. They've got Drake May. Extremely jealous. The Jags, they aren't trading up for a quarterback. They have Trevor Lawrence. Not as much jealous about that, but I'm still buying the Trevor Lawrence stock. Buy the dip. I'm still in on Trevor Lawrence, and I think Liam Cohen's going to be able to turn that around. So I wanted to pull up the NFL Draft Value Chart. It's a chart that's been used in the NFL for decades at this point. It puts a point total at every single pick, so it really just gives everybody the same ground to work on when you're trying to make trades. So let's start with this. The number 3 pick in this draft is worth 514 points. Number 4 pick is 491 points. And the number 5 pick is worth 468 points. So in theory, if the Giants were trading down with the Patriots would have to get from 491 to 514, and that would be exact math, 23 points. And 23 points is about a mid-4th round pick. So Joe Schoen maybe thinks that he could move down one spot, still get his quarterback, and pick up a 4th rounder. Maybe he thinks he could trade down from 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, and still get that quarterback and walk away with Shador and 2 4th round picks. By the chart, the Giants could add two 4th rounders. Both are 23 points in differential when it comes to the value. So is there a world where Joe Schoen is ready to get greedy and say, I'm going to do everything I can to get more draft picks and things of that such? Or does he just pick up the phone and talk to the 18-year-old general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars, actually like 31? I swear, when I saw him at the NFL Combine, I was like, are you an intern? Their booth was right behind ours at Chat Sports, the Jaguars social media team, and he sat down and interviewed, and I was like, this kid looks like 12. Credit to him, man. I'm jealous. He's a GM at like 30 years old. Maybe he calls him up and he tries to fleece the young buck and says, all right, how about we make a trade, go from 3 to 5, and you guys add in pick 88 because pick 88 is worth 46 points. And the difference between pick 3 and pick 5 is 46 points. So my question to you is, would you make this trade? Would you trade down from pick 3 to pick 5 and adding another third-round pick at pick 88? And then now you have 6 picks inside the top 105 and like 5 picks inside the top 90. A for accept, D for decline. I'll say this. Pick 88 is an extremely valuable pick. Like, you should be getting a long-term starter and a major piece of your organization at pick 88. That should be a starter. That should be an impact player if you're doing the draft right. But it seems risky to me. Like, let's say you make that pick, and now you're picking from 3rd to 5th, and you have the 88th selection as well. What if the New England Patriots, and let's say the Jags trade up and they select Mason Graham or Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, one of those guys, and the Pats are on the board at number 4. And their GM gets a call from, I don't know, maybe say the Raiders or maybe the New Orleans Saints or maybe the Steelers or any QB-needy team and says, well, how about we trade up and we go get Shedeur Sanders? And the Giants are ass out, and they traded down 2 spots for the quarterback, and they don't get the quarterback. I get playing the game. I get it. And that's why I think there's too much coverage of the draft, and we talk about the draft too much. We start to get a little bit loopy. Like, we start to do the evaluations 3 times. And we think about every single situation, and we overthink it. I get it. Let's get the most out of the draft and find a way to get another pick while also getting the guy that we wanted the whole time at number 3. But imagine if trading down and you get jumped for Shedeur Sanders. Like, imagine you make that pick and then you see the New Orleans Saints trade up to number 4 and they select Shedeur, and you're in trouble then. What are you going to do? You're in a really bad spot. I think at the end of the day, it's got to come down to this. Joe Schoen, if you think Shedeur Sanders is a franchise quarterback, you just take him at 3. That's it. Like, it's that simple. You don't get cute. You don't try to reinvent the wheel. You don't try to squeeze out pick 88. You just do it. You just select the quarterback, and you get it done. And I don't hate the idea of just taking Shedeur at number 3. Like, if you've watched this channel, if you've been with me the entire draft cycle, you know that I actually like the idea of taking Shedeur number 3. Because I think he can be a good NFL quarterback. I think a marriage of him and Brian Dable could have him reach a ceiling that maybe we don't see. I like the idea of taking Shedeur at number 3. I don't love the idea of taking Shedeur at number 3. And there's a major difference between liking a quarterback and loving a quarterback. And I think if you are picking inside the top 5, you need to have a love about a player. You need to have a strong conviction. And not just that guy's a good quarterback. That guy is a franchise-changing and franchise-elevating quarterback. And I think there's a world where Shedeur can be that. But I'm not 100% sure about that. Now, if I have any ounce of doubt, I'm not taking a quarterback in the top 3. I had no doubt about Caleb Williams. Maybe we're wrong. I still believe in him. I'd trade number 3 for him right now if the Bears wanted to do it. I felt very confident that Jaden Daniels was going to be great. Felt very confident that Drake May was going to be great. I would have taken them all. I would have had Drake 2 and Jaden 3, but those would have been my top 3 picks if I could do it all over again and then. I say all that to say, if you're going to pick quarterback at the top 3, you better feel pretty damn confident that he's going to be a franchise elevator. And I'm confident, but I'm not pretty damn confident. And that's a little bit of a hang-up for me. Let's talk about Shedeur. Let's start with the positives, because there are a lot of positives about his game. People think I now hate him because I don't know if I want him at number 3. Because I have a late first round, mid-first round grade on him. Marshall now hates Shedeur Sanders. Even though I was telling you back in November I would be cool with taking him in the top 5. But whatever. I think he's a good mental processor. I think at times that gets a little bit overrated in the national media when strictly talking about Shedeur's processability. People talk about him as this generational brain, and I don't necessarily see that. But I do see a guy that is beyond his years of getting through his reads, through seeing the field pre and post snap. So green check mark for the processing. He's got a quick and clean release. Not the quickest, but when he wants to get the ball out, doesn't take much time. When he sees man open, he gets him the ball. Great mechanics. Like, This is a guy that looks like he's been working with the best QB trainer since he was 5 years old. Probably because he has. He looks like he's someone that's mastered the position from a mechanical perspective. My favorite thing about him is accuracy. And he is accurate. To be honest, I don't think the accuracy showed in the pro day. There was only about 3 passes that I was like, damn, that is a perfect ball. And when you're throwing on air and you're throwing to guys that you know and there's no pass rush and it's scripted, I need every ball to be perfect. And who gives a shit about a pro day, to be honest with you? But I just wasn't the most thrilled with his pro day performance. But accuracy is the best thing about his game. And that ties in with the next one, ball placement. Accuracy and ball placement, they go hand in hand. And there's a reason I think that these two, for him, are great check marks. We'll talk about those later. He's used to pressure. And I think one of the stats that you can look at that translates and is one that can predict success is how do you handle pressure? And I'm not talking all the cameras. He's done all that. He's ready to play in a big-time atmosphere. But if you are good under pressure in college, you're probably going to be good under pressure in the National Football League as well. I think his pressure management is good. I don't think it's great, though. And I think at times he's a drifter. He wants to always escape the pocket from the back end. Sometimes he just keeps backing up, and sometimes that runs him into some trouble. But overall, the being able to succeed under pressure and being able to handle pressure, green check marks for me. I think he thinks the game well, and I think he sees blitzes coming before they do. And I think he knows how to look at a defense and see what they want to do. He's got an NFL mind. Green check mark for me. I think he's a good thrower on the run. I think he's a little bit underrated, actually, in this playmaking aspect. And we'll go right into the next one, playmaking instincts. I think he gets underrated because it gets compared to Cam Ward, who he's got a little Mahomie in him. And it's not fair to compare Shedeur to that. People think Shedeur is just this statue in the pocket that sits there and looks like Jared Goff. No, this guy can move. He can throw. He's an underrated athlete. He can create. He can make that second play. He can evade the rush, and he can make plays down the field with his arms while creating time with his legs behind the line of scrimmage. I like that about him. And he's used to the spotlight. You're Shedeur Sanders' son. You've been under the microscope the last 3 years, and you have passed all the tests with flying colors. I have no worry about the nonsense that all people talk about with Shedeur. I don't. He's not a perfect prospect, though, by any means, like at all. I don't have him as a generational talent. I don't have him as a top 5 grade. I don't have him as a top 10 grade. I got him as a mid to late first-round grade, and that's kind of the consensus around the NFL. And let's start with this. This isn't even the biggest thing in the world for me. I think he has a little bit of a below-average NFL arm. Like, at best, it's an average NFL arm. And at times, I think this gets overrated. And I want to reiterate that arm strength is not strictly how far you could throw the football. Like, just because you could throw the ball 70 yards doesn't mean you have a strong arm. How much air do you have to put over it? And he throws a similar deep ball to Russell Wilson, a moon ball guy. But how much zip is on that ball? How tight of a window can you get that in there? Are you able to drive the football on a 3rd and 12? Are you able to throw a 16-yard out route from the opposite hash and put steam on it out in front of him? Like, there's a big difference between arm strength and velocity and the ability to drive. And I didn't see as many throws where he drove it into a cover 2 hole or he was able to fit it in a tight window that I would have liked. And I would have wished he would have stuck to that and did that a little bit more in his pro day. I think at times, and even I've caught myself saying this, he's a solid anticipatory thrower, but he's not a great anticipatory thrower. I think it's a little overrated in that department. There's been a big deal made of him burping the baby, tapping the ball. All quarterbacks tap the ball. I'm not worried about that. But when you watch him play, and this goes to him taking care of the football, which should have been a green area for me, he's smart with the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. One of the lowest turnover-worthy percentage plays in college football the last 2 years. But I think that goes hand in hand with his anticipation or lack thereof. He's not going to throw it unless you're kind of wide open. And he'd rather be a little late to the party instead of being early and being in a risky spot. He wants that guy to be open. He wants to have a step on him, and he's able to put it on in them. But in the NFL, being that late in college turns into a pick 6 the other way in the National Football League. Solid anticipator, not a great or a good one. Good, maybe, not great. And I want to make that abundantly clear. Because he holds the ball too long as well, and these go hand in hand. Yes, the Colorado offensive line was cheeks the last 2 years. Like it was. but other times I thought he could have got the ball out a little quicker. I think the drifting in the pocket sometimes brings more pressure on him than it needs to be. And, like, it's hard. There's a little Bo Nix in his evaluation. Like, the college-y offense, screen pass after screen pass after screen pass. I think it was like 37% of his throws this past year were behind the line of scrimmage or something like that. I'm looking to pull up the full numbers here, but Shedeur is someone that played in an offense where it's either kind of a go ball or it's a screen or he's making plays outside of structure. And I'm not going to blame him for the college offense that Pat Shurmur had him play, but I think there is a little bit of a worry for me of, like, I just didn't see enough that wasn't technically a college concept of screen pass, screen pass, screen pass, which was kind of just in the sense of extension of the run game, but like 24% of his throws were behind the line of scrimmage. 37% of his throws were from 0 to 9 yards. So 37 plus 24, like almost 60% of his throws were less than 9 yards. And I get a little worried about that. He's a good athlete, and I think this is underrated about him. Good but not great athlete. People think he's a bad athlete. He's not. He can move, he can create, he can use his legs to buy time. I'm not worried about that. But it goes into the last point. Like, he lacks great traits. He lacks overall upside. Like, there is nothing about Shedeur Sanders' game that says I'm number 1 overall pick worthy, that I'm number 3 overall pick worthy, that I'm a top 5 quarterback, that I have MVP traits. And I get an MVPs don't always win the Super Bowl. And I get it. Other quarterbacks haven't had great arms and been all there. But if I'm going to take a quarterback at the top 5, I need to think this guy that has, like, different. He's a different quarterback. And we've seen plenty of Shedeur Sanders in the NFL. And that guy could be really successful because he has more than enough to be a solid quarterback. I really do believe that. Like, do I have worries? Yes. Are there things that I'm concerned about? Yes. But overall, there is much more good than bad. More than enough to be a solid quarterback. I don't love taking a quarterback number 3 overall that I think could be a solid quarterback. Like, you can find solid QBs throughout the draft. You can. And when you factor solid QB in Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, it makes the decision a little bit more difficult for me. And, like, let's think about it from this perspective. Yes, we want the Giants to be good next year. And yes, I think there's a world they can win 7 or 8 games. It's more likely than not the Giants are back at the top of the draft in 2026, with or without Shedeur Sanders. And one, how much is he going to play? Like, you sign Russell Wilson and you sign Jameis Winston. And maybe Jameis Winston is a part of the cards, but you sign Russ. And maybe if you're bad, you bench Russ and you play Shedeur. But in fact, I think about it like this. Would I rather have Shedeur, a player who I don't think is worthy of a number 3 overall pick, on a 4-year contract going into 2026, or where I think the Giants could be picking at the top of the draft, take a player that has much higher traits that I like, and on a 5-year deal? I just want to go to this conversation between my guy Monty. Shout out to Monty. Does great stuff on Twitter. Has a podcast and a YouTube show as well. I was lucky enough to go on there. Very kind to ask me. Shout out to Monty. They crushed it over there. He's a Giant. Go check it out. One of the more knowledgeable guys on Giants Twitter, and I just wanted to give you guys an inside look on this conversation. I asked him, is it Shedeur at 3 or bust for you? And he says, no, I think Travis is a player you have to think long and hard about passing on, especially for me as a fan with a head coach and GM on the hot seat. But I do think Shedeur is worthy of the pick. I said, I feel very similarly. Are you going Travis or Shedeur? He said, I would probably just swing on Shedeur. I think he is worthy of the pick, and next year's QB class doesn't move me, but I am very worried we are just going to ruin whatever QB we take. I said, I hear you, and I'm not sure I want Shane making that pick. I lean Hunter and would just rather draft a QB next year with a full 5-year deal and Shedeur on a 4-year deal and go through another offseason of building up the roster. I have a couple of those guys more than Shedeur. I will be happy either way. So that's kind of where I'm at on this. What do you guys think? Do you think the Giants should draft Shedeur Sanders, number 3 overall? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'll be down in the comments section trying to get the pulse of this channel. Make sure you are following me on social media. We can chop it up more about the Giants. Hit me up, and let's go G-Men.